Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Valoppi. I'm the founder of the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program. I'm also a longtime newscaster, television journalist, and author as well. This podcast is designed to highlight the women of today and what they can do to help other women move into their future and achieve their dreams. It's all about women helping women, guiding us and helping us move forward, learning from leaders in their professions who can help you into your personal power. Now, our guest today is Dr. Leslie Baumann. Dr. Baumann is a board-certified dermatologist, a New York Times best-selling author, and skin researcher. Welcome, Leslie. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So let's talk about the Baumann Skin Types, right? You put that together. What is it? It's 16 different skin types, and what does that mean?
Yes, so in 2004, I was working at the University of Miami, and we had so many patients coming from around the world to talk about skincare, and it would take me 45 minutes to go through the whole thing and ask them questions. So I realized in order to make everything go smoother, I had to figure out a way to get my staff to help me. So one day I was sitting there thinking, what is it that I'm thinking of in this 45 minutes when I'm trying to figure out the skincare for patients? And I realized the important things were if the skin was dehydrated or not, how much oil they made, if they had inflammation or not, if they had pigmentation and brown spots, and if they needed anti-aging. And I thought, how am I going to incorporate all of that? And I looked over on my shelf and I saw my Myers-Briggs personality test book and I thought, wow, that's it. A 4x4 matrix. So you're either dry or oily, you're either sensitive or resistant, pigmented, non-pigmented, or wrinkled or not wrinkled. And you mix those and you get 16 types. So it sounds complicated, but it's actually really easy. You take a quiz and it tells you what you are. So I'm a dry, sensitive, non-pigmented, wrinkle-prone DSNW, and so I need very different products than the other 15 skin types.
Okay. So, and you can, in order to find out your skin type, you can go online and take this test?
Yes, right now it's at skintypesolutions.com, but It first came out in 2005. I had a book with Random House called The Skin Type Solutions. And it was a bestseller. It was in 8 different countries. And so we realized there really was a need. People wanted to know more about their skin and be able to make better choices.
Okay.
So we did that first in 2005. And then in 2013, doctors started using it in their offices. And it was exclusive only to dermatologists for about a decade. And then after COVID, the dermatologist said, listen, our offices are closed. We need to help our patients. What can we do? So in 2020, we started an e-commerce store, and that's where skintypesolutions.com started. So now anyone can take the quiz.
Okay, so do you sell products to go along with all of these different skin types?
Yes, so we sell over 90 brands of products. So over the last 13 years, what we've done is we've worked with the dermatologists that use the system to create different regimens, and we take the best products from the different brands. So maybe there's a SkinCeuticals product that's mixed with Skinmedica, that's mixed with something like a L2MD. So you take the quiz, and then it tells you what products are right for you.
Is this only for older women or people, or is it for all ages?
Anyone 13 or up. So we've tested on all ages, under 13 or higher, and all ethnicities and all genders. And we've tested all around the world too. So whether you have dark skin, light skin, male, female, old, young, menopausal, not menopausal, works for everybody.
So you walked in here and I assumed you had makeup on. You have no foundation on, is that correct?
Right. I have a tiny bit of concealer and a little bit of eyeliner, and that's it.
Okay. What kind of skincare do you do to be able to walk around with no makeup on?
Well, the whole point is what's right for me might not be right for you if we have different skin types. Yeah. But I have, like I said, dry, sensitive skin, very rosacea prone, redness, eczema, very dry.
Okay.
So I use a very creamy cleanser by a brand called Xerophyte with a Z.
Okay.
And then I use Plated and Tint Serum, which is an exosome which has a lot of anti-aging properties and soothing properties. And then I use the Xerophyte Wrinkle Defense Cream, which is made in South Korea. Okay. And it was made for me by a South Korean chemist who met me, and I was complaining about my skin because you can't be red and peely and be a dermatologist.
Right. Yeah, of
so
course.
he made a moisturizer for people who have very sensitive dry skin, and that's called Xerophyte, and then a sunscreen. That's what I do in the day. And at night I do the same thing, but no sunscreen, and I do something in the Retinol family.
So you're a redhead. Did you ever have freckles?
Never had freckles. No.
You never had freckles.
And I only got sunburned once in my life when I was about 18 years old.
Okay.
And then I realized someone showed me pictures at the time of what happens. There's this famous picture that people might have seen where there was a lady who worked next to a window. And so the side of her face next to the window is all wrinkled and the side of the face that's not is not. And someone showed me that picture, and then I was really careful in the sun after that.
Oh, wow. So you wear sunscreen all the time?
Always. And that's why I played golf for a while. And then I sit there and I'm in the sun playing golf, and it ruins the game for me if I'm sitting there worrying about the sun. So
Right. So you wear a lot of sunscreen and a big
and
hat.
a hat, and I reapply at the 9th hole and everything.
Yeah, and you keep up with it. So, all right. So my skin, I would say, is probably, it's not dry. It's not too oily anymore. I mean, maybe it was a little bit when I was younger. And it's not sensitive at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I have developed pigment stuff a little bit. And I was a sun abuser my whole life. So how would my skincare differ from yours?
Okay. So the quiz, we spent years validating it. And so we always tell people, don't guess what your skin type is. You have to take the quiz.
Okay.
But I'm going to guess. I think you're an ORPW, which means oily, meaning you make enough oil. Doesn't have to mean that you're dripping with oil. It means you make enough oil, which is a good thing because oil is anti-aging. Resistant, because you don't have any inflammation or sensitivity. Pigmented, because you said you have some dark spots. And wrinkle prone, just because we want to prevent aging. So your skincare would be very different. Your cleanser, you would want something that's more bubbly and foamy. And then you'd want a lighter moisturizer because probably sunscreens feel kind of heavy on you. Do you have trouble finding a sunscreen that doesn't feel yucky on your skin?
I don't wear sunscreen because I wear makeup. So I always figure the makeup kind of covers, the sun on my face at least, maybe not so much on my neck or my chest. And I tend to not wear any moisturizer. I tend to do like maybe a serum of some sort. And maybe sometimes if it's dry, I'll put an oil on my face or on my eyes.
Right. So you're definitely an oily skin type because you can get away with just a serum. But let's talk about the makeup for a second. The way when they test sunscreen and figure out what the SPF number is, they put a certain amount on, which is a lot. It's 2 milligrams per cc of your skin, but that's a lot. So if we're talking about foundation, you would have to put 7 times the amount of foundation that normal people do to get the SPF on the bottle. And I'm from Texas. They don't wear that much in Texas. So,
Wow.
So I know they're not wearing 7 times the amount in Miami. So in other words, your makeup's not enough sunscreen. You really need a sunscreen underneath.
Mm-hmm. And what do you recommend for somebody who doesn't have dry skin, whose skin is more on the oily side? Because sunscreens can really be, blocking your pores and stuff like that.
Right. And most chemical sunscreens are made from oils, so they feel really heavy on oily types. Mm-hmm. So if you took the quiz at Skin Type Solutions, you'll see a whole list of sunscreens that are right for you, and they're all going to have zinc oxide in them, mostly zinc oxide, whether you want tinted or untinted. And if you do tinted, it's really going to depend on your skin color. So for your skin, you probably would like the tinted Ulta-MD, the Ulta-MD physical that's tinted. I think that's going to be the right color for you.
Mm-hmm. So if you do zinc oxide, that's kind of the stuff that makes your skin all white, right? All white and pasty.
Used to be, but now the technology is a lot better. But that is why a lot of people choose tinted, because then it doesn't look white.
Okay.
And people who are black, for example, it can look violet on their skin. Mm-hmm. So they definitely have to find the right tint.
Mm-hmm. So, but it does come in darker tints and everything else? Is it widely available?
Dark skin, I really like the Elastin sunscreen. That color is better for dark skin.
Okay. And you mentioned the exomes. Talk to me about that, because I know that's a fairly new thing in skincare, right?
Mm-hmm. So there's all kinds of exosomes, but the best ones really are from platelets. Do you know what PRP is? Have you heard of that?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So PRP is when you take the platelets and you spin the blood and you inject the platelets back in. So exosomes are the best ones are derived from platelets. So it's like PRP in a serum.
Well, so I've done that of my own. I've actually had my own blood taken, spun, and put on my face kind of thing, or injected or whatever they do. But that's one thing when it's yours. You're talking about a cream that has somebody else's platelets in it?
And not just one person, it's actually a lot of people. So when you
Okay.
take your own blood and do your own platelets, you're only getting what your platelets can do.
Right.
And depending on your age and things like that, platelets can, you want younger platelets and older platelets and all different kinds of platelets. So
Right.
my favorite serum was invented at Mayo Clinic by a transplant cardiologist. And when they would take the heart out of the donor body, they would soak it in the serum to rejuvenate it before they put it in the new body. And they take blood that's donated, that's about to expire. They take the platelets from that, and they take it from many different samples, so that's a mix of platelets, and then they extract the exosomes that way. And of course, it's done very safely, and it takes a lot of time. Excuse me. The way they centrifuge it is very important, and that's why it's so expensive. One bottle of serum about that big is about $285, lasts about a month, but it really works well.
So what do you notice if you buy a bottle and you go for the $285? What are you going to notice in a month?
Probably not much in a month. It takes about 8 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
But the people who have worse skin are going to notice something faster than people with good skin because there's more stuff to fix.
Okay.
So there's something called senescent cells, and those are cells that are really old and cranky, and they're letting off all these anti-aging factors, and it affects those. So if you're 20 years old, you're not going to have a lot of senescent cells, probably. Right. So I caution my 25-year-old patients that maybe they don't need to spend the $285. But once you hit 40, people who are getting lots of sun, it's very good for prevention. And the nice thing for me is it helps rosacea too, so it helps my redness. Mm-hmm. Now, there are lots of brands with exosomes. Some come from fat and other things, but I really like the science of the plated derived ones the best.
Okay. And
plated and platelets.
What is that called?
It's called, they use the name plated from platelets, but also gold plated. So it's called Plated Intense Serum. And we actually sell it at skintypesolutions.com, and you get a $50 cashback card to try to make it more affordable because it is expensive.
Nice. So I remember many, many years ago doing a story on a company that was coming out with a product where it was guys who were doing heart transplants, women who were doing heart transplants, and they had noticed that when they would take the organs out of the solution, that their hands looked so good. Okay, and so they had developed like a skincare around that. But I remember at the time, and this is like 10, 15 years ago, they didn't want to talk about how it was derived from the stuff that they were using for organ transplants. Is that the same stuff that's in some of this plated
It sounds
technology?
like it. Do you know if that was Mayo Clinic that was doing that?
No, it was, and I'll find the name of it somewhere. I had the name of it. It was not a SkinCeuticals, but it was a skin something. And when I've looked for it recently, it no longer exists. The company, I can't find the same company anymore. So I don't know. So what you're talking about, this technology also is the same stuff they make the solution out of that they, preserve organs for organ transplant in?
Yes. So I wonder if it's somehow the same company in some way, or
and maybe got bought out and sold or changed
maybe
hands.
So.
Yeah.
But and it's I didn't hear the story that the hands got better, but I heard the story that someone decided to use it on their face and noticed a difference.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's interesting. So, all right. So let's talk about skincare for every age. If you're a young person, if you're a 13, 14, 15-year-old acne prone kid or something like that, what do you tell them to do?
Well, for acne prone, they often are using the wrong things. The biggest problem we have right now in the skincare world is TikTok. Because people they buy whatever the influencers tell them to buy.
Right.
And number one, you don't know if they have the same skin type as you.
Right.
Number two, they're probably paid to tell you to buy that. And so all these teens are coming in with acne way more than they used to have because of all these crazy products they're using. So beef tallow is an example. There was this whole thing where everyone was putting beef tallow on their skin, and we saw a lot of acne from that.
Okay.
So, again, it depends on the skin type. If somebody has acne, if they have oily skin, it's easier because you can use benzoyl peroxide, which there's many brands of benzoyl peroxide. But if you have dry skin and acne, it's really hard for you to tolerate all the acne drugs. So if you have dry skin and acne, you really either need to take the quiz or see your dermatologist because you need acne products that aren't going to dry your skin, and you need moisturizers that are not going to break you out.
Okay. And like, is salicylic acid? Is that something that's supposed to be good?
It's great, but it dries your skin out. So dry skin people can't tolerate that.
Okay. And you actually tell a young person who's prone to breakouts, whether it's acne or just an occasional breakout, you actually tell them to wear moisturizer?
If they have dry skin, yes, but they have to be on the right kind of moisturizer. So not all moisturizers break your skin out. Oh, and by the way, I have a Reddit account, Skin Type Solutions on Reddit, so people can come ask me directly. I love Reddit, and I'm always answering people's skincare questions. So if someone has a burning question, they can come ask me on Reddit.
So do they just go to Dr. Leslie Baumann?
No, it's Skin Type Solutions.
Skin Type Solutions.
But they'll see my handle on there is Dr. Leslie Baumann, so they'll see me answering, and that's really me.
Ah, that's
You can
terrific.
tell because I sometimes do typos and misspell things because I'm doing it fast. So my kids are always like, "Mom, you can't make all these, you can't make typos." But I'm trying to answer fast.
Ah, that's great. That's great. So what's the most common question you get?
People like to send me their routine and they say, step 1, step 2, step 3, is this right for me? Mm-hmm. And it kind of drives me crazy because that's what the website does. I've spent years building this algorithm that'll give people advice. So I tell them, well, first go take the quiz and see what I tell you. And then if you have questions, come ask me.
Right. So, okay, so after you've gotten through your teenage years and let's say you're in your early 20s, what kind of skincare do you recommend as a general rule for someone in their early 20s?
Well, we have about at least 500,000 people's data. And what's interesting is we found that even people under 20 sometimes need anti-aging because of their habits. Like, let's say you're a tennis player or something, or you're rowing or something, you're in the sun a lot. So just because you're young doesn't mean you don't need anti-aging. But let's say that everyone, in my opinion, 30 or older needs to get on some kind of aging prevention. And the best is sunscreen, of course. And then the second thing would be something in the Retin-A family, like retinol. You can start with low-strength retinol.
Okay. So talk to me about Retin-A, because I've done it off and on over the years, but I've never really done it on a regular basis. And I kind of feel like I really should be, but...
Yeah, everyone who should be on Retin-A, in my opinion. It's a vitamin A. It's like Accutane, but it's topical. And it does so many things. It's kind of complicated, but the most important thing is it protects your collagen from the sun, and it makes you make more collagen. So it's absolutely preventative, and it reverses aging. Mm-hmm. But it also helps with acne. It helps with brown spots. It does a lot of things.
So is it actually Retin-A you should be using, or is it a retinol, or how does that differ from Tazarac or all the different kind of brands?
Great question. We say Retin-A kind of generically because people know what that means. But the retinols are the weakest. So it's always good to start with the weakest. Now, you wouldn't need to because you don't have sensitive skin. But if you had sensitive skin, you start with the weakest one, like an over-the-counter retinol, and then you work your way up. And then the adapalene, which is also called Differin, is it's over-the-counter. It's the strongest of the ones that it used to be prescription. And then after that is tretinoin, which is Retin-A. There's lots of brands now, Atrilin, and probably 10 different brands that used to be called Retin-A. And then tazarotene is the strongest. So I'm on the strongest of tazarotene, and I use it twice a day.
Even with your sensitive skin?
Yeah, because I'm on all these other soothing anti-inflammatory things, so I can tolerate it. It took me years to get to that, though. People shouldn't start that way.
Wow. So where do you put it? Do you put it on your neck? Do you put it on your chest?
I put it in my face, my neck, and all the way down, anything that shows, because I don't want to have wrinkles here either.
Really?
And I wish I had put more on my hands.
Do you put it on your hands now?
I do now, and the trick, if people are going to, is to put it on the back and rub it this way.
Okay.
Because if you get it on your fingertips, it dries your hands out. So you don't want to get it on your fingertips, so you put it on that way, or you can put it on your arms that way.
Okay. And as you get older, one of the things you notice is your hands. It's not like, I'm not concerned about pigment, but they get like kind of, I don't know.
Crepey looking.
Yeah. So what do you do for that?
Well, if they're thin and bony, you can do fillers. Mm-hmm. And if it's just the texture of the skin, you can do the retinoids. And by the way, I was at the University of Miami for 13 years, and I did all the Botox trials and all the filler trials. So I've spent years studying the efficacy of those, and I believe that with skincare, you can beat most lasers, microneedling, all these things, those derma rollers people are doing at home. There's this new pen you use at home to poke yourself that all these kids are using. And all of that, to me, is crazy because they're injuring their skin. They should just be on the right skincare.
Really? So you don't like the derma rollers or any of that stuff?
I love all the different kinds of Botox. There's 5 kinds now.
Okay.
Botox is really a brand name, but people are starting to use it generically because there's so many kinds. And then there's so many kinds of fillers. Those are safe and great, but I'm not a fan of a lot of the lasers and light treatments and red light. So this is so controversial. Everyone who's listening is going to say that they don't agree. But red light, I believe, ages you.
Oh,
And
no. I'm like
everyone.
huge on red light.
Do you
I'm
have
like,
the mask or
yeah,
you have the bed?
I
or-
have the mask. I have the bed. I mean, I totally, I love red light. That's like, I have the infrared sauna with red light in it.
Right.
Why is red light bad for you?
Well, we know infrared rays ages you. That's been proven. But red light does a couple of good things to your mitochondria and other things in your cells, but those are the same things that the exosomes do and the retinoids do. But it's also a form of radiation. So if you go back in dermatology and you look at the 50s and 60s when people had acne, they used x-rays to treat that. So all those people got aged skin and they got skin cancer. So then when probably in the 90s when I was training, we started using blue light for acne. And then we found out that blue light ages you and causes the brown spots and melasma. So now the big thing is red light. So I'm convinced we're going to find out it ages you. But the problem is the people who come out with the red light devices, they're not trying to see if it ages you. They're trying to prove what it does good so that people will buy it. So I can't prove that I'm right. So we have to wait 20 years and see. But I would never use red light on my skin.
Oh,
And
no.
on Reddit, we're always talking about this.
Huh. So, because I do use the red light mask every now and then, and I think it does make a difference.
Well, the thing is, have you ever been sunburned and you think your skin looks amazing when you're sunburned?
Sure. Yeah.
So it causes some kind of swelling in your skin. It helps the texture, but long term, we know that sunburn is bad. So it's the same idea. You get a short term good effect, but probably a long term problem. Again, no one's proven this about red light. It's my opinion, but I'm just looking at the fact that it's a form of radiation.
So, talk to me about the infrared, like the infrared saunas, because that's very popular these days for skincare and for kind of weight loss and anti-inflammation.
It's very good for your muscles. So SkinCeuticals actually did a study to show that their sunscreens block infrared and block blue light. So they wanted to prove that those things were bad to show how good their sunscreens were. They have something called iron oxides in their sunscreen, which a lot of people have now, which gives the tint. That's why the tinted sunscreens are a little better because they block all kinds of light.
Okay.
But SkinCeuticals looked at it probably like 12 years ago or something, and they proved that infrared does age your skin.
So it ages your skin. It's supposed to be healthy on the inside because it penetrates so much from
Right.
muscles and stuff like that. But you're saying the external skin that shows.
And we know that's true because there's this derm disease called erythema ab igni. It's a big word, but it's people who they get pigmentation on their lap from having their computers in their lap all the time, or if you
Really?
sit on a heating pad all the time, it'll change the texture of your skin. So we know infrared is heat. It's the same thing. And also with melasma, which is brown patches that people get on the skin, I've had patients that do everything right. They avoid the sun, they wear sunscreen, and we could not figure out why their melasma wouldn't get better. And it turns out I had 3 different patients, they were chefs. And they would have their face in the hot oven all the time, checking on the food, and that caused their melasma. So when they learned to open the oven, let the heat go out, and then look, their melasma got better.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? So heat is, and we live in Miami, so heat's a big deal for us.
So, but melasma is also hormonal, isn't it?
Yeah, estrogen causes it too, yeah.
Okay. So does it get worse then as you age generally, or?
Better. Once you go through menopause, usually your melasma gets better. It's one of the few good things about menopause.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't know that. And then how do you treat that? What are the sorts of things that you use to get rid of brown spots?
Well, now we know a lot about pigmentation and what causes it. So you want to hit it from all the different pathways that cause pigmentation. So sunscreen, of course, vitamin C will help lighten the skin a little bit. You want stronger skin lighteners like kojic acid or arbutin. Those are very known. There are prescription ones that are even stronger. Niacinamide blocks another way, so that's another good thing. And then you can do peels such as glycolic acid and salicylic acid, things like that to exfoliate. And by the way, if you are going to use your red light, then if you got on something like a Retin A and a vitamin C, at least that'll protect you from some of the damage. So you should do that.
All right, let's talk about vitamin C, because I always hear that the vitamin C creams and stuff are not very stable and they don't last for a long time.
Right. So vitamin C is great because your body needs vitamin C to make collagen. If you don't have vitamin C, you can't make collagen, and that's what scurvy is. All the sailors that they didn't have limes whenever, so they would lose collagen and get scurvy. So we know you have to have vitamin C. And the guy, Sheldon Pennell, who was the chairman at Duke University, figured out that if you put vitamin C in skin cells, they would make more collagen. So he came out with the very first vitamin C. That turned into SkinCeuticals. And he proved that you need a low pH of 2.5, which is very acidic, to get vitamin C in the skin. It's hard to get vitamin C in the skin.
Okay.
But it's going to sting someone like me with sensitive skin. That it's like putting acid on your skin. So that's why some people can't tolerate it. But now they've come out with new kinds of vitamin C that are kind of in these liposomes, like these balls of fat that help it get in the skin better. And so those will absorb, but they're not as strong as the original acidic vitamin C's. And you're right, the minute you open them, they go bad in 4 to 6 weeks.
Really?
So I tell people to buy one of the cheaper ones. Like SkinCeuticals is always the best vitamin C technology, but they have one called AOX10. It's only 10% vitamin C, and it's about $50 instead of $150, and that way you can use your bottle up faster.
If you use an old vitamin C, is that ruining your skin?
No, it doesn't harm you or anything. And you can tell if it's bad because it gets kind of dark, a dark color. And if you're not going to use your vitamin C for a while, you can keep it in the refrigerator, and that'll help it last a little longer.
Someone told me that you can take like a little bit of mineral water and drop some vitamin C crystals in there and just mix it up and put it on your face. Is that for real?
It depends on what the vitamin C crystals are made of and things like that. They have little individual ampules you can open that make it fresher.
Yeah, no, I was just talking about the stuff that I put in my water,
Oh, you mean like emergency?
Yeah, like something like that. I get just a plain vitamin C powder that I throw in my water, no sugar, no anything in it. And they told me that I could take that and mix that in water and put it on
I've
my
never
face.
heard that before, so I don't have an answer. That's fascinating. I don't think it would work, but I have no idea. You stumped me on that one.
So should vitamin C be mixed in a water form, or should it be mixed in an oil or a cream form, like if you're looking for it?
Yeah, water form's better. And you do want to take it orally as well, because vitamin C, it's hard to get enough in your skin. So you want to be getting it internally and you want to get it topically, both.
So what about people that talk about taking collagen supplements and stuff like that? Does that help?
That's such a waste of money. So they did a big study on that. And if you took a lot, which costs about $300 a month, you ended up a little bit more moisturized. I mean, you could buy a moisturizer for that.
Right.
So collagen is just made of peptides, which are the building blocks of protein. So if you eat meat, you're already getting all those proteins and peptides. So you don't need extra collagen. Now, if you're vegan, that's a different story. You might not be getting enough protein.
I see. So you get collagen from anything that's based in meat or milk products
Mussels.
also?
No, just mostly mussels.
Okay.
So fish, chicken, beef, stuff like that.
Things like that.
And beef broth beef broth and seafood broth are a really great source of collagen. So if people want to take collagen supplements, they're better off making their own bone broth than buying all those expensive supplements.
So what would be the number one supplement that you would recommend people to take for their skin?
Coenzyme Q10, and you take it in the morning because
Really?
it kind of hypes you up a little bit. And it helps your mitochondria, which are the engines of your cell that make energy. Your cells need energy to protect itself from the sun and to make collagen and all of that. So coenzyme Q10 helps your cells make energy.
That's the same as CoQ10?
Yeah, coenzyme Q10. It's
Okay.
also called ubiquinone. It's the same thing.
Okay.
And when people are on cholesterol-lowering drugs like statins, it lowers your coenzyme Q10 levels. So if you're on a statin, you definitely need it. And also, if you're on a statin, you might get dry skin because your skin actually needs cholesterol.
So I saw something on social media. I see so many skincare things on social media. I guess that's my algorithm. But I saw something on social media where you put a patch on, and it's like a vitamin patch that's supposed to help your skin. Are you familiar with that? And do you think that would work using a patch for vitamins?
It depends on what kind of vitamins. There's fat soluble and there's water soluble vitamins, and fat soluble vitamins aren't going to get in topically. Like vitamin A, you can't do Accutane with a patch or Retinol with a patch.
Okay. And do you recommend to your patients at all, like older women, that they use hormone therapy? Do you notice a difference if people are using, HRT?
A huge difference. I wrote the cosmetic dermatology textbook that dermatologists use, and I have a whole chapter on hormones and how important they are. And they've done all kinds of studies to show that within 7 years of starting menopause, you lose a significant amount of collagen.
Mm-hmm.
So estrogen blocks that. So I'm a big fan of estrogen. Now it can cause melasma, and of course you have to talk to your doctor if you have a risk of breast cancer or something. But if you don't have any risk, estrogen is great. Now they have all these creams with estrogen in them. So when women are prescribed a vaginal estrogen cream, I tell them to use it on their face instead, because then your face gets the benefit.
Really?
They're a little greasy, though, is the only problem. But you can really tell a difference in people's skin. It gets dewier and glowier.
How about just a basic estrogen cream that people, put? I think it's fat soluble, right? You're supposed to put it on like fatty areas of your body or something.
Right.
Should you put that on your face?
Yes, you can.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about volume loss in your face. Speaking of fat in your face, let's talk about volume loss. There are a lot of things like some of these, maybe not lasers, but I know there were a lot of the old treatments that were sort of the radiotherapy and different things like that actually would take some of the fat out of your face, right? So tell me about those, because I know some of those Ulthera and different things like that. Are those helpful or not?
Well, the goal with Ulthera is to tighten your skin. But if it's used improperly, it can take fat out of your face. But that's more of a side effect than wanting that. And you see that a lot with the Morpheus treatments. Again, it's for tightening the skin, but a lot of people say that they lose a lot of fat in their face. So usually people don't want to lose fat in their face because then everything sags. And that's why they do fillers in their face to give themselves more volume.
Okay. Well, all right, let's talk about fillers. So I'm kind of an anti-filler because I think they sort of get blotchy on people or lumpy on people. And also because, that's kind of how nobody looks like themselves anymore.
So that drives me crazy because it's the artistry of the doctor. And I took a year off from work. I'm on sabbatical, and I've been going around taking all these art classes and thinking about and I've been taking painting classes and sculpting classes, and I'm thinking, how can I use some of this art training to figure out how to teach people how to do fillers better? Because the problem is that, you see people's cheeks like this, that's not the filler's fault. The doctor put it there. So what happens is when we do the research trials, because I always did the research trials for the companies, they tell you a certain way to inject because the control group and the group who gets the fillers have to be treated the same way in a trial. So they may say inject here, here, and here, and you do that on the trial, and the FDA looks at the before and afters, and they look better, and they get it approved. But we're picking people to be in the trial that we know are going to look good if you inject right there. So then when the drug gets approved or when the filler gets approved, the company goes out to train the doctors, and they have to train the doctors the way it was done in the trial. So the doctors are trained to inject here, here, and here. And so they do it, but they're not using their artistic eye. And that's why we're seeing all this bad stuff. I mean, the lips are crazy and big. The cheeks really drive me crazy because people get this curve wrong. It's called the OG curve, and they get it wrong all the time. And then the lumps shouldn't be there. That's when they're not injecting smoothly.
Does filler ever actually go away?
Yes. So it's hyaluronic acid, which is a natural sugar you have in your body. And there's an enzyme that you make that makes it go away. And there's also, if anyone has filler they hate, people don't realize you can get hyaluronidase injections to shrink your filler away.
Okay, because I always thought that maybe the filler doesn't really go away. It just sort of moves or migrates to different places.
It can migrate usually for the first 30 minutes after you inject. Sometimes I've seen it migrate later than that, but we don't want people to get a facial or something like that after getting injected, but really it goes away. Okay.
And what about Botox? Let's stick with filler for a second. So where are the best places to use filler?
Well, the first place we did was the nasolabial fold, but that's because that's the first place that got FDA approved.
Okay.
And the reason is it's very easy to prove that this looks better because it's all about proving to the FDA. So the companies went out and made everybody hate their nasolabial folds. They called them your parentheses and everything. And so people come in and they want to be flat there. And that looks so weird.
Yeah.
If you look at babies, they have nasolabial folds. So
Right.
it was a disservice to get everybody to hate their nasolabial folds. So a lot of times, a lot of the good doctors rarely inject the nasolabial folds. It's really more kind of what I call the pullback, this area here, and then it pulls back.
So you go along here?
Right. So then you don't have anything in here. You pull back.
Because it's plumping it out.
Right. It plumps it out.
I see. And then behind the jaw, is that
we can put behind the jaw. And in men, a lot of times men lose that right angle. And so then the skin comes forward. So in men, we add that right angle. And they look so much better when you do that. But if you did men the way the studies say, right here, they're going to have feminine looking cheeks.
Okay.
So as I was saying, I took a year off. And I've run into some of my patients in town who've been going to other doctors, and I see their cheeks all crooked and their lips too big, and it drives me crazy. So I'm going to have to get back to work.
Yeah, there you go. That's the thing that'll really send you back, right?
Right, because I just feel terrible when I see them, and I think, oh.
Well, where did the concept of these really big lips come from? I mean, I'm always, I'm a makeup person, so I sort of feel like, I'm not going to do anything that I can fix with makeup, and I can just draw my lip line out a little, a little wider if I wanted to do that. Where did all this, bigger lip concept come from?
Well, it's all the golden ratio, which is it's 1 to 1.318, basically. So what that means is that when you measure like this distance here, if you take that and then you measure here, the high point of your cheek should be the same distance as this. We have all kinds of things like that on the face, the lips and all that.
So you're measuring the width of your eye, and then you're taking out to the temple, and you're saying the width of your eye should be the same as the distance to your temple, to your hairline?
The width of your eye should be about the high point of your cheekbone.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Okay.
But I'm just using that as an example. The same thing with the lips. Your bottom lip is usually a little bit bigger than your top lip, and it's that 1.3 ratio.
Okay.
So, and for years, back to the Greeks, we've known that that's beautiful. When you look at a beautiful painting, if you measure it out, you'll see that that ratio is there. So in all the conferences in the 90s, everybody's talking about the golden ratio. So people just started making people the golden ratio everywhere, and they start looking like the Stepford wives. Everybody looks the same, and it isn't always right because you have to think about somebody's nose and their chin and their jawline, and not everybody's bone structure is the same, so you can't go inject everyone the same. But that's what happened with the lips is they did these studies to show that people with fuller lips were rated as more attractive, so then all of a sudden everyone wanted fuller lips, and then it just got out of control.
Okay.
And now I worry that it's kind of become the fashion because I have patients that come in and they want to look like that. And they'll show me some Instagram video of somebody who just looks horrible and want me to do that. And I won't do it, but it used to not be like that in the early 2000s. Now, at least once a day, there's somebody who wants to do something crazy like that.
The problem is that everybody does start looking like everybody else.
Right, they really do.
And you can kind of tell what doctor somebody went to.
You can. You absolutely can. And then also people get really frozen. And what drives me crazy is I take this dance class, and there's a bunch of 25-year-olds in the dance class, and some of them have so much Botox and fillers that they look like they're my age trying to look their age. Like they look older by doing it when they don't need it.
Yeah, tell me about that, because there are a lot of young people today that are they're Botoxing their foreheads, and they think it's preventative.
And it is preventative. It definitely is, because if you're not moving, you're not going to make wrinkles. But that doesn't mean you have to overdo it where you're frozen. Like I had one patient that would say, I want to look like an egg. Just she didn't want anything to move.
Right.
That's not really the ideal, in my opinion.
Well, there was a very famous story about a very famous actress who, used to do so much Botox that she had lost her expressions, and she had to back off because, they weren't giving her movie roles because she couldn't emote with her face.
I can't even guess who that is because there's so many. Oh, but
right.
Since you were, have done lots of television, if you look really closely at newscasters, You can tell who's had Botox in their upper lip because when you pucker and people get lines here, they'll
Right.
put Botox so you can't pucker. And in the before and after picture, it looks fine. But when people are in video and moving, it looks terrible. So people will be on the news and they'll be talking like this, and you'll see this flat right here.
Oh, wow.
So watch. I loved it. Almost every channel you'll see somebody like that.
Really? Okay, I'm gonna have to look for that.
Yeah.
So Botoxing the 11s, the little lines between your on the bridge of your nose, is that a good thing?
That's a good thing. And that's the first way it was approved.
Okay.
And that's good because then you don't get the 11s that make you look angry. And then the forehead you want to do when you're young, because when you get older, like at my age, it's hard. I don't really like doing much in my forehead because we use these muscles to pull our brow up. So
Right.
if we relax it, then your brow comes down, and that's when people get that heavy upper eyelid look.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I don't do anything in my forehead because, as a general rule, because of that.
Right.
Because I don't want to lose my eyebrow because it'll
Right.
flatten my eyebrows out.
Right. Well,
Right?
you're lucky because you look great. You obviously have good genes because you're doing red light, no sunscreen.
Right. I'm doing everything
no
wrong.
preventive Botox, but you still look amazing. I mean, the genes are good.
Doing everything wrong, but the 11 is a good thing. And then where else is a good place to do Botox? How do you feel about the neck Botox?
It is good when you get these platysmal lines here. That's not any minute that's going to get FDA approved. I did the trial, so I'm not allowed to talk about it unless it's FDA approved, and I don't think it's approved yet. So
Oh, really? Because I thought everybody does that now.
yeah, they do, but when you do the trials, you're not. You can get in trouble if you talk about it before it's approved.
I see. So what else can you do for your neck?
There's not a lot to do for the neck. That's why you really want to prevent and wear sunscreen as much as you can. The neck really gives away your age.
Is there anything you can do for the platysmal bands other than Botox?
Yes, you can kind of stretch it. So, you know, when you do yoga and they have you on the back and you do fish pose, it's kind of like fish pose. You stick your chin out and you stretch. It looks weird, but you can stretch it. You feel it stretching. That will elongate that muscle and that will help it look better.
Okay, so what is the deal with that muscle? It's like fibers and the fibers break apart?
It goes from here to here.
Okay.
And it shortens when you get older.
Oh.
So you want to lengthen it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how about Botox around the eyes for crow's feet and stuff?
It's really great when you're younger. You want it only when you have what's called when you smile and you get really deep wrinkles. But then when you start getting a little bit older, it can make your eyes look hollow because the muscle that goes around your eyes is round and it atrophies when it doesn't move. So when you get Botox, it atrophies and you'll see people look real hollow right here. So see, I don't do my Botox in my crow's feet.
Right.
I don't want that hollowness.
So I notice people also get very hollow in their under eyes as they get older. You know, it's sort of the dark circles get bad and that sort of thing. What can you do about that?
People do fillers, but I try to talk my patients out of doing it because you can almost always tell when you're in lighting. Like the lighting we're in right now, we probably, like overhead lighting, you almost always can see the little lumps from the filler in people. So
Really?
I don't love it under the eyes. No matter how good the doctor is, you always can kind of see it.
And how about people do laser under their eyes? You don't believe in that either?
It doesn't really do much. Makeup is the way you do under the eyes. It's really the best.
Yeah.
That's why I have a little concealer on under my eyes, always, yeah.
And what about eye cream? Is there like special eye creams that you recommend at different stages of someone's life?
Eye creams are really no different than face moisturizers, except that they're made to go better under makeup. So if you don't wear makeup, it doesn't matter. You can just use your normal face cream. There really aren't any magic, wonderful eye creams that are any better than any of these serums.
And how do you feel about oils versus creams?
Oils, they're better for really dry skin people. There's so many different kinds of oil, so it's hard to just generally answer. But argan oil, for example, or prickly pear oil, those are great. Those are really good for your skin. But olive oil is really not good for your skin. Okay. So it kind of depends on what kind of oil. So what's interesting about olive oil is it actually puts little holes in your skin. So different things can get in and make you more sensitive. So a lot of times when people have eczema or dry skin, they'll use olive oil and it makes them worse.
Okay. So the idea of a lot of the lasers and the rollers and stuff like that is that you're creating damage to the skin and then the skin heals and it's supposed to heal better. You don't believe that.
Well, when you damage the skin, when it's healing, what it's doing is making more collagen. So why not use retinoids and vitamin C to make more collagen? Because then you don't have the downside of the wounding.
Right.
And by the way, when you wound yourself, what happens? The platelets go there to cure the wound, and they release all their stuff and cure the wound. That's why the platelet-derived exosomes are so good, because it's the stuff, you don't have to wound yourself to get the good stuff from the platelets.
What's the best stuff for your body?
Well, I'm biased because I love the Xerophyte body cream because I'm so dry. And you want to put it on when you're wet from the shower or the bathtub while your skin's still damp. You pat dry instead of rub dry, and you apply it when it's wet.
Is it a cream?
It's a cream, a very rich, luxurious cream.
Okay. Are there any like oils, like a coconut oil or something like that? Is that good for your skin?
For your body, coconut oil is good for your body. Not so great for your face. It can break people out. But for your body, argan oil, coconut oil, the prickly pear oil, but that's very expensive. Soft flower oil is inexpensive and easy to find. That's a good one.
I heard about pomegranate oil.
I haven't seen the data on pomegranate oil.
Okay. So what do you think for a basic like 20-year-old? You're going to tell them use something to cleanse your skin that's maybe a little foamier, right? Is that what you said?
If
mostly?
they have oily skin, if they have dry skin, they need a creamier cleanser.
But you do recommend that most of them use like a bit of a moisturizer, even in your 20s. Is that right?
If they're dry, if they're real oily, they don't need one because
Okay.
when you're really oily, you're making your own moisturizer.
Okay. And what about washing your face before going to bed?
That is so important for so many reasons, but at night, your skin has a circadian rhythm and it does different things at night than it does in the day, and it repairs itself at night. And you can get clogged pores and all kinds of things if you don't wash your face at night.
Okay.
Especially the sunscreen. You have to get your sunscreen off at night.
So you have 16 skin types.
Mm-hmm.
And for each of those 16 skin types, you have a specific regimen that goes with them.
Right. So we have actually 40,000 different regimens that we've tested because it's not just the 16 types, it's also what kind of sensitive you are. Sometimes people have multiple sensitivities, like maybe they get acne and rosacea and they're allergic to things. So it's very complicated. So this algorithm took forever to do. And when AI came out, we were so happy because it helped me so much. Because we already knew all the answers and what to do, but trying to communicate, you can see it could be confusing to communicate to people. Mm-hmm. So AI's made it a lot easier. That just tells them what they need to know.
All right, so let's tell people again, where can they go to take this skin test? And it is free, right?
It's free, yeah. SkinTypeSolutions.com.
Okay, and it's going to give you a regimen of what you should do, but does it give you generic products you can use, or do you have to buy certain products from the website?
So it'll tell you step 1, cleanser, and then it'll give you a list of cleansers that are right for you. So if you want an inexpensive one or expensive, let's say you want the brand SkinCeuticals, then you can buy that. Or if you want to do something like La Roche-Posay, you can do that. So you have a choice of what, but you know it's right. And then you get a little octagon with the number. So each skin type has a color and a number. So mine is, I'm a 3, a pink 3. So when I shop on the store, there'll be a pink 3 next to everything that's right for me. And if that's not there, I know that product's not right for me. So you can shop by your skin type too.
Okay.
So if you so it's better to do the whole regimen, but if you're just looking for one product, you can go on there and see if it's right for you.
Should everybody use a toner, a serum, a moisturizer, and a retinol?
Everyone should use a cleanser and a sunscreen. Everything else varies by your skin type. Like toners, you don't use if you have dry skin.
Okay, and what does a toner actually do?
A toner toners were invented because cleansers used to leave some soap scum on your skin, and it was to get all that cleanser stuff off your skin. But cleansers these days don't do that, so toners are really not that necessary.
Okay, because that's another thing I've never really done. So if there's one thing that you could tell everybody to do generically, what would that be?
Sunscreen, of course, I have to say that. I'd like to say Retin-A, but it's not right for everybody. There's some skin types that can't tolerate it.
Okay.
And when I say Retin-A, I mean something in the retinoid family, which includes retinol. And a lot of things that say they're retinol actually are not. They're something called retinol esters, and they're fake. So you have to make sure you're using good brands.
And vitamin C.
And vitamin C. Mm-hmm.
So
but vitamin C is not right for everybody also because of the stinging.
Okay, but is there a vitamin C that everybody can tolerate? Is there a brand you can buy? No,
not for everybody. Yeah.
Not for everybody.
So that's the thing is, companies would love to say our product is right for everybody, but it's just not true because they're really each skin type has a very distinct personality and needs very different things.
What about exfoliating?
So exfoliating is when you take off the top layer of your skin and it makes it look smoother and glowy immediately. So, when you're in the mall and the women are like, try this product, and they put it on your hand and it looks better immediately, that's always an exfoliant because it just, what happens is when your skin is dry or rough, the surface looks like mountains. And if you, that doesn't reflect light properly. So when you scrape that off to make it flat, then light reflects better. So it always looks better. So that's why people like to exfoliate. But the problem is some sensitive types can't exfoliate because they need that protection of that dead skin layer on the top of their skin. And then also people over exfoliate, especially when they have acne. People think if they exfoliate a lot, it'll make their acne go away, but it actually makes it worse. So over exfoliating is a big issue we see, and it disrupts people's skin barrier, which their skin doesn't hold on to water properly. So some skin types can exfoliate. You really should only exfoliate 2 times a week.
How about your body?
You can do that a lot more because your body's tougher.
So I tend to mix like the really fine grained pink salt with like just coconut oil, and I use it in the shower. Is that like good, or is that dangerous to do all the time?
As long as you're not getting irritated from it, it's fine. Like somebody who has eczema, they probably wouldn't be able to do that. Or somebody who lived in Arizona. And we're living in Miami with the humidity, so we can do that a little bit more than someone in a dry place.
Yeah. Well, that's another issue. When you live in California versus living in Miami, it's a huge difference on your skin.
So your skin type can change, actually. So some people, and also seasonally, so some people have to have a summer skincare regimen and a winter skincare regimen. Or, if you live in Arizona part of the year, regimen for there versus here. So I'm from Lubbock, Texas, a very dry place. So when I would go home to visit my family, I would have to take all oils and all kinds of things.
What's the one product you would keep if you had to throw everything else away?
The Xerophyte Wrinkle Defense, because it's a very thick cream that if I had to, I could use it to wash my face. I can also put it on my body as a body cream, and it has anti-aging in it. So it does everything except sun protection.
Is every face cream good for your body also?
Yes, but they're so expensive that it doesn't really make sense to use a face cream on your body.
Because most body creams have some of the good stuff in it, but less of which they would have in your face, right?
Right. And they can't have a lot of retinoids, like retinol, for example, because you're putting it so much on your body. If you absorb too much, you can have problems.
Oh, that's a good point. Like what? Like, tell me.
Well, when you're taking Accutane, you're not supposed to get pregnant because the baby can be deformed. That's because it's vitamin A. So if you're using very high strength retin-A on your whole body and you're pregnant, that you can absorb too much. So that's why they don't put high retinol percents in body creams.
What's one viral TikTok trend that makes you cringe as a dermatologist?
It's so hard to pick one because there are so many. It always makes me cringe when somebody is saying a product is great when I know it's not right for all the skin types. But I think the beef tallow one and the rice water toner ones are the ones that bother me.
Rice water toner?
They started saying that rice water toner was the same as Retin-A and made all these claims, and it's just water, It's a little bit like a very weak glycolic acid, so a tiny little exfoliator. But that was a big trend too. Oh, I know another one, the Vicks Vapor Rub. I wrote a blog on that. It's our number one blog and people on YouTube, I did a YouTube video and people are saying, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Vicks Vapor Rub is the best. And Vicks Vapor Rub is gooey and menthol, and it doesn't do anything beneficial to your skin at all. It's crazy to use on your face.
Well, what did they say it was supposed to do?
Everything. They say it cures their acne or their aging, or I don't know why people are so fanatical about it. It has menthol in it, so they get that tingle. So maybe they think that does something.
I used to hear that actresses years ago used to put Preparation H on their face to tighten the wrinkles. Is that for real?
It used to work. Now they took that active ingredient out.
No way.
I think it's still in the Canadian one, though, I heard. People used to use it for the bags under their eyes. It had something that would dehydrate and kind of shrink everything up temporarily.
Why did they take it out?
I must have been irritating. That was so long ago that they took it out before I was a dermatologist, so I'm not sure why they took it out.
Oh, okay. All right. Probably.
I tried to find that ingredient, actually. I looked to see if it was in anything, and it's not in any American products at all.
Maybe it's like some of those we see the commercials for those things where they put something under their eye and then 30 seconds later, you see the difference.
Yes.
What about those products?
Those are interesting. Those are polymers. And so what that means is when they get activated, they tighten up. So you put them on in a lattice pattern. So you have to rub this way and this way. So you get a cross like this, and it tightens up. The problem is if you don't put it on right, like let's say you put it on this way, it can pull and give you a big wrinkle. So they're very difficult to apply. But when you put them on right, I've had some patients in their 90s that swear by it. And I was skeptical. So one patient put it on one eye and came in and showed me, and you really can see a difference.
So what do? You have to tap it this way and then smooth it that way?
Each one has different rules, but if you read the packaging, it'll tell you how to do it.
Okay, because I tried using one of those once on my face, and it just put a white, like, film. I ended up with like a white flaky patch or something, so I had to wash it off.
Right.
So I guess I did it wrong.
You probably did it wrong. You probably didn't rub it in the right direction.
Probably didn't read the directions, which wouldn't surprise me.
And nothing helps sagging skin, by the way. When your skin sags, you've lost elastin in your skin, and there's no way to get that back. So when things firm you, what they're really doing is just making this coat on your skin like fondant on a cake. So sugars, for example, they'll just precipitate on your skin and feel firm, but it's not actually firm. And when you wash your face, it goes away. So people spend so much money on these anti-sagging creams, and nothing works except maybe Ulthera or Morphia or one of those things.
Well, how do you feel about facial exercises?
It depends on which ones. I think some of them do make a difference, but I have a whole chapter in my textbook on that too. Nobody's ever really figured out which ones are the best. But like these muscles here when we get older, they get thinner, and this area comes in. So some of them help make those areas bigger.
Which is under your cheeks. What about the cheek muscles, trying to lift those up by doing exercises?
I haven't seen any specific data on that, but it makes sense that it would work.
And then stretching the neck for the platysmal muscles.
Yes.
And what about under? Is there anything for under your chin, like people who get a double chin and stuff like that?
There's an injection called Kybella that if it's a clump of fat, that shrinks up the fat and tightens the skin.
Okay, isn't that the one, though, that one of the models took and she said it made it worse? Is that?
If you're talking about Linda Evangelista, that was the Liposonics machine, which used heat. I don't think she had Kybella also, but maybe she did. But it doesn't make it worse. But what it does is it gets rid of the fat, and then you can have sagging skin.
Okay. Can you medically improve stretch marks?
Not really. Only new ones that are kind of red or purpley looking. You can do a vascular laser, and that helps make more collagen. But once they're white, there's really not a lot you can do.
What about scars?
If they're raised and dark or red, you can treat them. But once they're white and flat, there's not a lot you can do.
Scar creams?
They've shown that the pressure of the band, the silicone strips that you put on wounds to prevent scars, it's not the silicone that's important, it's the strip. So just covering it with something sticky, like a Band-Aid or something, puts pressure on it and helps. So like there's all kinds of little dressings that they make.
So all those silicone creams don't really work then for scars?
It's not the silicone that works, it's the pressure of the cream on the skin.
Can you reverse sun damage?
You can reverse sun damage with exosomes, retinoids, vitamin C, growth factors sometimes, depending on which growth factors there are.
Where do you get growth factors?
Growth factors are in a lot of creams. We have like 365 different growth factors, or even more actually. They discover new ones, but they all do different things, and they're in a lot of anti-aging creams.
I think I need to go on your website. I need to take the quiz.
Find out what you need.
Are there any long-term effects for tattooing?
Only if you're allergic to some of the tattoo pigments. Some people are. And so they can use cobalt and things like that you can be allergic to. And then some tattoo pigments change color with time. So don't ever do the lips. The pinky colors turn dark with time, and you can't laser those off. And then people's eyebrows, with time, you'll start to see they get kind of grayish or bluish. That's the pigments changing. And all the tattoo artists use different pigments so that it's not standardized. So you have to find somebody who really knows what they're doing.
So for somebody who went out and got some tattoo in their life that they regret later on, is it difficult to remove the tattoo?
Not if they're dark, like black or brown, but some of the colors like green and blues are hard to get rid of.
And what do? You laser it off?
You laser it off, and it's not as easy as you think. First of all, it's more painful to get the laser than it was to get the tattoo in the first place, and you need 8 to 20 different treatments depending on the little homemade ones that people just do when they cut themselves and put ink. Those are really easy to get rid of, but the professional ones that are put deeper, those are a lot harder.
At what age does aging actually start?
It really depends on your habits. So that's why the quiz that figures out your skin type asks you a bunch of questions like, how many hours do you spend in the sun? Do you wear sunscreen? Let's say you eat lots of fruits and vegetables. You're getting antioxidants that help prevent some of that. So it has a lot to do with your habits and your genetics, and also your skin color. So the darker you are, the more melanin protection you have against aging. So if you have really light skin and you get some sun exposure, you're starting to age at 30.
Is it okay to be exposed to the sun without sunscreen as long as you don't burn?
No.
Is it okay to be exposed to the sun without sunscreen if you get out of the sun as soon as you notice that there's an issue?
No. Any kind of sun is going to age you. Yeah.
So you should have sunscreen on when you're in the car?
So ultraviolet A, which is the one that ages you the most, goes through glass. But you can get tints on not the color, but like clear UV protection on your windows. So pilots have that in airplanes. So they're not getting UV exposure through the glass. So some of my patients who have melasma will get that on their car.
Do you get more bad sunlight by being on a plane than you do in a car?
Yes. And I think that's why flight attendants always seem to have a lot of sun damage, I've noticed. Because the passenger windows, those are not coated like the pilots are. So all that UVA is going through.
So take an aisle seat.
Yeah, take an aisle so you wear your sunscreen on the plane. It's better just to put your sunscreen in your morning regimen and just put it on every day.
What would be a basic 3-step regimen for people just starting out and starting to take care of their skin?
Cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen in the morning, and cleanser, moisturizer, some kind of retin-A at night. In general, there are exceptions.
Is it ever too late to start taking care of your skin?
It's never too late. And the older you get, the more you need all these skincare products because your skin's ability to repair itself gets worse as you get older. So even if you're 90 years old, your skin needs help repairing itself because it's not just about aging. You also can get skin cancer.
I tend to think there are a lot of drugstore products that are equally as good as some of the more expensive stuff.
If you're using the right thing for your skin type, it doesn't have to be expensive.
But you have to know your skin type.
Right.
Are there some good drugstore brands that you recommend?
It depends. If we're talking about acne, Neutrogena is good. Rock is good. If you have dry skin, Aveeno is good. Eucerin is a good moisturizer.
Is oatmeal good for your skin?
Definitely, it's anti-inflammatory. It's soothing. I'm not a huge fan of CeraVe body cream. A lot of people use it. It's one of the best-selling body creams in the world, but it really doesn't mimic your skin's natural lipids. So I'm surprised that it's so popular.
How about like Nivea or something like that?
Nivea is good.
Yeah. Jergens, the basic things?
Nivea is better than Jergens.
And what about the things that color your skin, the
self-tanners? Those are safe.
Are they?
It's just a chemical reaction that changes your skin color, so it doesn't harm you at all, but it doesn't protect you from the sun either.
Now, I found that I never really had dark spots until I started putting on self-tanner, and then it seems like they would create dark spots. Is that my imagination?
Well, if you have these things called seborrheic keratosis on your skin, these little rough spots, they suck up more of the self-tanner, so they turn darker. So they just dye better than your normal skin.
Okay.
One time my mom used it and she called me and she said, I look like a leopard on my legs. And that's what it was.
Right. You got to exfoliate it off.
Exactly. That's how you get rid of it.
So when you take the quiz, will that give you drugstore options?
The quiz doesn't give you drugstore options unless it's a brand that they let us sell online. And a lot of those brands like Neutrogena don't let you because you're not selling 500,000 at a time. But La Roche-Posay is a drugstore brand that we do sell online. But once you know your skin type, it teaches you what ingredients you need and what ingredients to avoid. And you can use that to go to the drugstore and buy different products. So when my book came out in 2005, we did have drugstore brands. We had what we called $1 sign, $2 sign, and $3 sign products. So the $1 sign were always available at drugstores.
So a lot of times it seems like companies change the ingredients in their products. And so just because you used something 10 years ago and you loved it doesn't mean you can use it today and love it.
And those drugstore brands change the most. That's another reason we don't sell them online. When I first wrote my book, I thought it was going to be very easy to do it in all these other countries. Australia, it's English. It should be the same book. But those drugstore brands are called different things in different countries, and the formulations are different, and every 2 years they change them. So it got really hard. So people will say, well, why don't you recommend drugstore brands anymore? And it's just because it's hard for me to keep up with the research if they keep changing the formula, because I need to test it on the skin types and make sure it's right. So the more expensive brands tend to kind of stay with their formulas.
So what country is the most advanced in skincare?
Oh, South Korea, for sure. And that's where Xeraphyte, the moisturizer is made. And that's why you hear all this K-beauty is such a trend.
And what do they do that makes them better than everywhere else?
Research and science, they're very science-focused. So Xeraphyte was made by a guy who has a PhD in skin barrier science. And the skin barrier is what holds water in your skin. So he spent years studying how to hold water in your skin. So, of course, he makes the best moisturizers.
Okay.
He makes several different brands in Korea.
Is there, what else besides moisturizer do they do well? What's the glass skin?
Oh, everyone wants glass skin. It's just exfoliated skin that reflects light well.
Okay.
Oh, and this whole glowy, dewy stuff, have you noticed people look like they have Vaseline on their face?
I don't like glowy and dewy.
Yeah, that's not our generation for sure.
No,
It's
I'm like,
weird.
how much can you powder me down, you know?
Yeah.
Well, because I also think that glowy, dewy look doesn't look good on camera.
Yeah, I think it looks gross and it looks like people need to wash their face, but people in their 20s want to look that way.
Yeah. Okay. And if you want to learn more, go on Reddit and
Go to Skin Type Solutions. That's the name of our community. And you can ask me questions or go to skintypesolutions.com. I've written a million blogs. So you go look up your subject and I've written a blog. And if I haven't, just tell me on Reddit and I'll write one.
okay, Dr. Leslie Baumann, and you will answer those Reddit questions personally.
Absolutely. If it says Dr. Leslie Baumann, that's me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you. It was fun.
Let us know one thing from today's episode that actually resonated with you and send it to us on my social media at Jennifer Valoppi, or you can put it in the comments and then we'll post it and read your responses and hopefully help other women who might have missed today's episode. Remember, every episode we do here ends with a micro action, and today's micro action is to do one thing for your skin that you don't normally do. So it might be something like making sure you take all your makeup off before going to bed. You can use sunscreen, for example, or maybe a moisturizer, take some vitamin C, try a retinol. Anything you can do to improve the quality of your skin from what we heard in our previous session here. Remember that every step you take takes you one step closer to your future. And finally, we support the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program and the thousands of young women who we serve through mentorship, education, and access to opportunity. If this conversation inspired you at all, please subscribe. Follow us on social media at Jennifer Valoppi and learn more about the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program at womenoftomorrow.org. Your donation can help us change the world one young woman at a time. Thanks for listening.